Hey there, Cinephiles. Today I wanted to talk about every movie I watched in June 2023. June was actually a pretty solid month for what I saw, and you know the drill, I'm going to give a mini review for every single thing I watched this month. But alright, without further ado, here we go. I started out June by watching Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse. What a great start to the month with what I thought might be the best movie of the year so far. It turns out there's another movie that came out this month that I think is better. I have my full thoughts in a video that already came out on this channel, so please check it out. But basically, you know it's great, I know it's great. Shoot, even my cats know it's great. And then I followed it up with The Little Mermaid. Wow, what a follow-up. Some truly great cinema that captures movie magic to its finest degree. Then I watched The Umbrellas of Cherbourg. This is a 60s musical from French director Jacques Demy, who I often confuse with Jacques Tati, but I've never seen either one of their films, and I'm glad I finally watched one of theirs. What Jacques Demy does in this movie with color, as well as having the whole movie be sung, I thought it was pretty cool. I really like the ending to this film. However, the second act is where it loses me. And unfortunately, I feel like the second act is the bulk of the movie with the relationship between the mother and daughter, and I just didn't really love it. But still, overall, a really good movie, especially if you're interested in watching this. I watched this on Max, so check it out. Then I watched Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down. Every time I watch an Almodovar movie, I always have the same feelings. I love what he does with color and cinematography. The production design's always great. His offbeat characters are always so interesting, and the unique stories at least keep you engaged. However, there are always plot points that I don't love for the movie. He's definitely one of the most interesting filmmakers from the past 25 years, so I'll definitely be watching a lot more of his movies, even though I'm sure I'll find something to nitpick about his plot details. And Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down has this very interesting character from Antonio Banderas. Next, I rewatched Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I finally got a chance to rewatch this, and it was pretty good. The flaws were more noticeable, but the good stuff also hit just as well. It's still a great end to these characters. Then I saw Transformers Rise of the Beasts. I don't know, man. Boring, predictable, not fun, looked ugly. I just didn't care, and I wrote my Letterboxd review while watching it. Then I watched Raiders of the Lost Ark. I started rewatching all of the Indiana Jones movies for Dial of Destiny, and it's always a pleasure to come back to Raiders. It's just so fun and cheesy, and the Nazi monkey is one of the greatest characters of all time. I mean, he gets his comeuppance, what can I say?
Bad dates.
And then I finally got the chance to rewatch Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse in theaters. I really wanted to see this one more time before it left theaters because the sound I heard improved actually, which it did. And it was nice to see that 2 weeks after that the theater was still pretty full for it. Later on that day, I watched Joyride. Shout out to Jeff for bringing me along for this early screening. It was a really fun comedy, and soon our full review will be coming out for this movie. But please go out and see it once it comes out in theaters. It might be the most pleasant surprise of the year so far. And then I saw a movie that I can't say I watched. However, the one thing I can say is that me and a bunch of my friends actually got a chance to work on this movie, so that was pretty cool to see our names in the credits. And hopefully in September I can have a video for you guys about it. And then I saw The Flash, which not many other people ended up watching. I got a full review on this channel for it, so please go check it out if you haven't yet. But to cut to the chase, I didn't like the movie. You need to be able to buy into this portrayal of Barry Allen, and I just couldn't. But if you don't mind him and you actually end up liking him, then you'll probably really like this movie. At least you'll think it's fun. And then I watched The Blackening. This is a comedy that I was kind of looking forward to ever since the trailer kept showing in so many movies I was watching in the theaters. It doesn't quite fully deliver on its potential, however, it's still a good time, especially if you're watching with friends. You'll catch a bunch of references and you'll just have a good laugh, even if overall it is a bit safe. I followed it up with a rewatch of Temple of Doom. When I was younger, this was my least watched Indiana Jones movie, and I see why. It's not good. I'm sorry. For those that defend this movie, I just don't get it. I'm glad you enjoy it. I don't think I ever will, even if Short Round is the GOAT. Next, I watched A Star is Born. I haven't rewatched this movie since I saw it in the theater in 2018, and I remember really enjoying it. So watching this again, I thought to myself, especially towards the beginning, why haven't I rewatched this more often? And by the end, it hit me like a truck. Why? I mean, I knew it had a sad ending, and I remembered that, and I remembered the ending, but the way it hurts so much, yeah, that's why I didn't rewatch it often. But it's still really great, and the music is just so good. Also, shout out to the major chemistry that Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper had for the entire press tour, especially during the Oscars. And then I saw Heat for the first time. I've never seen a Michael Mann movie, so why not start at his peak, aka the one starring Robert De Niro and Al Pacino in their first on-screen scene together ever. It's a really great crime epic that also incorporates some silliness too, which I was not expecting at all. But then again, you do have Al Pacino, so hoorah. It's practically 3 hours long, and I didn't feel its runtime whatsoever. I was engaged the entire time, and I had a lot of fun watching it. This is one of those movies in which if a Venn diagram was made for it, the Film Bro and the Dad movie would basically be a circle overlapping each other. But if it's not your cup of tea, I completely understand. I still suggest watching it because it still was a lot of fun for me. And then I watched Paper Moon. A friend of mine told me that I would really enjoy this movie, and for some reason I kept hearing about this movie for the past couple of months, so I decided to just watch it. Overall, I really enjoyed this movie, and I could have loved it if it wasn't for that mediocre second act. I just didn't care about anything that wasn't about the potential father and daughter relationship. And that duo is so charming. They're not the greatest people, but you root for them so much. It's just a really good movie about human connection, and I appreciate it for that. Next up was Elemental, the latest Pixar movie. It doesn't quite reach the heights of Luca or Soul, but it's not as bad as Lightyear. In fact, I put it right around the quality of Turning Red as far as talking about recent Pixar movies. And in the grand scheme of things, it'd probably rank like right smack dab in the middle. It's an okay movie with some great ideas thrown into it. And I don't know, you can just tell that Pixar didn't end up caring about this as much as they could have, especially with one of the title cards that seemed like I could have made it in PowerPoint. Then I rewatched Grownups 2. There might be a better time in which I actually deep dive into my thoughts on this movie, so let's move on because I don't want to talk about it. And then I saw Asteroid City. The latest Wes Anderson movie is actually so great, so please go watch it in the theaters. I actually think this is one of his greatest movies yet, especially because this does a lot more than the trailers would have you think. He's dissecting storytelling and the artistry behind believing in your art or someone else's art or even liking art. It does so much and it does it so well. That being said, if you're not familiar with Wes Anderson's work, this wouldn't be the best one to start with, but watch it soon so you can watch this one in the theater because it's so good. And then I saw Past Lives. I was left speechless and with a heavy heart after watching this and the credits rolled. This is my favorite movie of the year, honestly. It's so hard to find a flaw with it, and maybe on a rewatch this might get my 5-star rating. It's one of those movies that I wish I made just because it taps onto so many things that I like to write about, and I hope when it comes to Oscar time it gets a bunch of nominations. As for now, please go and support this movie. And then I rewatched After Sun. I followed up the most emotional movie of this year with the most emotional movie of last year. So emotionally, it was a rough day. Both are great movies with similar vibes but kind of different plots, and this rewatch just showed me how much I will always love After Sun and how it kind of gets better with each rewatch. And man, I'm so glad Paul Mescal got an Oscar nomination for this. And then I rewatched Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. This really might be the best indie movie. As of this recording, I haven't watched Dial of Destiny and I haven't rewatched Crystal Skull, but I don't think it'll change the fact that this is the best indie movie. And by indie, I mean Indiana Jones, because this is clearly a blockbuster. The wonderful dynamic between Sean Connery and Harrison Ford is just so well told in this movie, and I kind of wish we got more of it in something else. But this was a great send-off for Indiana Jones and just that first trilogy. Also, anything with Marcus Brody is comedic gold. But alright, that's every movie I watched in June 2023. I also finally got the chance to watch Beef this month, but I think it was already way too overhyped for me. I don't know, it just got to the last 2 episodes, which I thought were by far the strongest, and yet it just kind of ended after. I don't know, most of the series could have been better, and there could have been better tie-ups for certain characters, especially the brother. But anyways, if you want to see what I watch in real time and my reactions to it, be sure to follow me on Letterboxd at Director Yeti. Let me know what you think about what I watched this month and your thoughts on these movies down in the comments below. And be sure to share your favorite first-time watches on our socials. And Sebastian, you too, write your favorite first-time watch this month right here. As always, thank you guys for liking, commenting, and subscribing. Stay tuned for more Yeti Films content, and I'll catch you later.